What's up, guys? We are back with a Marvel Legends review, and it's been a little while since I've taken a look at anything Marvel Legends. I've not been taking a look at much Hasbro stuff lately, but we're getting a core X-Men villain, and it's one that I have needed in any form for a very long time. So we're taking a look today at the Deluxe Blob. We've got this big fat boy to take a look at. So this guy is, well, he would have been a BAF, obviously. He would have been a Build-A-Figure had he come in a wave. So he's extra big, he's extra chunky, and he comes in a humongous, just a simply humongous box as a result. Now, we're still in the closed box packaging, windowless, plastic-free packaging phase experiment, whatever we're going to call it once this is all said and done. So you've got him here just in a, a nondescript, regular old box. You've got a shot of him there on the front. You've got a product shot on one spine. You've got some classic comic artwork on the other, and then the back of the box that gives us sort of a rundown of what this beefy boy comes with. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Marvel Legends Blob figure. So this is, for me, a much needed figure that I've never had one, and I don't never ever go back and buy Toy Biz stuff. I just don't. I have no interest in doing that. Most of them I don't think even look remotely good by any standard today or otherwise. Blob is one that kind of held up, but I would have much rather waited for something new, and thankfully we finally got one. So this guy will kind of complement my evil mutants finally. Now, he is very much a Build-A-Figure-y kind of figure, but he's not a BAF. He probably would have been had he been in a wave, obviously, but I am happy to be able to just get him, be done with him, and then kind of move on. I'm kind of over getting waves of figures that I don't necessarily want just to get a BAF. So let's see what this big guy can do, see how he moves around. In some ways, he's very much what you might expect, but in other ways, I think Hasbro did a really nice job of giving him more range than I expected. So we've got a head that's on a ball peg. He looks up. He looks down pretty decently. You've got really nice tilt side to side. And then you've got rotation. It's not all the way, but it's enough. He's got a really thick old neck. Arms out at the shoulders. They rotate, of course. We've got single jointed elbows, but if you see this joint, it is absolutely massive. It extends like the entirety of his forearm, so it is a better than 90-degree single joint. It's also your swivel points instead of a bicep swivel. So that's all right. I'm really happy with this. I was worried that he wasn't going to be able to do a whole lot with his arms, but that joint, despite the fact that hinge is kind of unsightly, it does work really well. You've got hinges, you've got rotation at the wrist, normal stuff there. Torso is it's a ball peg, so he can go backwards slightly. He goes forward a decent bit, and he's got really good tilt side to side. I'm sure you could get in there, pop him apart, and carve that tummy out a little bit more just to make him more mobile. But as far as what he does stock, it's okay. You do have swivel there also. Legs out at the hips. Pretty decent, despite having big old tree trunk legs, he does have pretty decent range. Backwards, you do have a thigh twist up there. He's got single jointed knees, about 90 degrees. Your thigh swivel is pretty much your only swivel point on this guy. And then you've got really nice rocker. And you've got really good, really sturdy hinges down at those ankles. He is a pretty heavy figure, so you want some sturdy, cankles rather, to make sure he does not take your entire shelf with him. So he does move probably in most ways how you would expect him to for, a Build-A-Figure style figure to move, but in some ways I do think Hasbro did a little bit extra, especially with those elbows, to give him as much range as possible for a figure that is, just super fat and chunky through and through. Visually, I think they really got him. I'm very happy with the way he looks. There's a lot of interpretations of Blob to have gone with. This is obviously very classic inspired in a lot of ways, but he is, he's a big, fat, chunky, very off-putting figure, if that works too, because, he's not huge in the sense that he's muscular. He's huge in the sense that he's, jiggly and fat. So there's not a lot of definition on this figure, which honestly kind of threw me for a loop. It's like you have these big legs and big arms, but they don't have your normal musculature in there. You don't have a lot of striations. You don't have any veins sculpted in this guy. You have almost no muscle definition. We have some fat rolls and some lumps to deal with, basically. But he is a very different kind of figure, and he's very much his own thing. And I really like that for that reason alone. He's different. He's familiar, but he's different. He's got this massive bowling ball style gut. He's got his man boobs hanging down there, and he's got his super cellulite-y, thick, chunky legs. It works. This is Blob. There's not a whole lot bad for me to say about this guy. Obviously, this is open to interpretation. There's other versions of him. There's other looks. You know, he looks bigger, he looks smaller in some instances, different outfits, things like that. But I think this is classic enough for me that I'll be happy with him, put him alongside, you know, Toad and Mystique and Avalanche and Magneto, whoever you want to, and he's going to look right at home along there. He does have a very unique head sculpt also, which has like this, you know, big chunky like jowls going around him. He's got a big old thick fat neck. He's got a nice scowl. He does have what appears to be photo printing all over that face. I'm pretty sure that that's photo printing. So you've got sort of like, I don't know, is it freckles or is it supposed to be food all over his face? Maybe food particles all over his face, but the eyes look really good in particular. He's got some slightly rosy cheeks. And then you've got this shock of hair up there, which does look really good. The hair is sculpted really, really nicely. It's a separate piece from that head. And then speaking of actual paint, the one area of the figure that I'm maybe not the most excited about is like all this sort of haphazard paint on the skin. I don't really know what it's supposed to be. There's just sort of little hits of brown all over. I don't know, does he have liver spots all over him? What is this supposed to be? But otherwise, I mean, it's relatively minor. I think he looks all right. The skin tone is consistent through and through. Those little spots don't bother me all that much. It's just, if there's one little nitpicky thing I have with him, it's probably that. And the fact that this yellow paint up here is kind of thin. Yellow is always a hard paint to get done. You usually want to mold in yellow and then paint over it. But this whole tunic is blue, so I knew they wouldn't do that. So it's okay. It doesn't necessarily match the belt or the rim of the boots down there, but I think I can live with that at the end of the day. So he's really cool. I mean, I'm really happy with the way he looks. He's big, he's super chunky, he's super fat, and he's definitely going to be a bit of an eye catcher on the shelf just because he, while being very similar in size to a lot of Build-A-Figures, is just very much different in terms of how he's put together. And then, of course, we have to do some size comparisons. So let's start with other Marvel Legends. We've got a regular figure here on the left. We've got Magneto from that 3-pack, however long ago that was. And we've got the most recent Apocalypse. And this one, I was kind of surprised about that because I thought Apocalypse was taller than this. But Blob has some size on him. He's slightly edges him out. And of course he has, I mean, just all of that bulk in there. So he is a big beefy figure, even compared with figures that, you know, were in many ways Build-A-Figures in other waves. And let's take Magneto away and let's do an actual recent Build-A-Figure, recent-ish anyway. So there's the controller. And he's definitely smaller than Blob. Let's take Apocalypse aside and let's do a Mythic Legions. So here is Gorgo Aetherblade 2 from the video game figures. And let's pull Controller aside and let's do a Mezco. Here is the ever-present Conan the Barbarian. Let's pull Conan aside and here is a Super 7 figure. There is Lion-O. And then let's do one more. Let's do Figure Arts. Let's make Vegeta look even smaller than he is and put him next to Blob. So Blob has a lot of size. There's no doubt about it. There's no other way to say it. He is a big figure. He does have a slightly higher price point than usual, I think, but we are getting a lot of figure as a result. Now, as far as accessories goes, Blob doesn't have a lot. I'm not so sure that that's much of a surprise because, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of powers that really manifest in any other way than just being enormously fat. So we do get an extra head sculpt, and this is probably my favorite of the two. I do like the regular, just the stoic head, but I really like this screaming head. It seems very Blobish to me. Like, it definitely seems like something you would see him doing in the comics. I like that humongous open mouth. It is kind of uncanny valley, kind of weird looking at the same time, but the paint looks good. There's definitely photo printing going on for the eyes, so that looks nice. And then we do get some extra hands. So we've got fists on him right now. You get this left hand, which is like a gripping, sort of, slightly posturing, you know, just expressive hand. And then you get a right hand that is gripping. It's not like a tight grip, but you might be able to get some smaller food items in there, and that's really what I'm hoping to do with this, because, I mean, it just makes perfect sense. You've got an enormous fat mutant guy here. You're probably going to want to give him some food when you do a picture, put him on a display, or do something stupid with him. So he doesn't have a lot of stuff, but I do like what he has, and I mean, it's all very much themed to what he is. So yeah, overall, I'm really happy with this guy. Blob is a lot of fun, and that's a lot of it for me. When I got him out of the box, he was just a lot of fun to play around with. There is also the fact that I needed this guy for my evil mutant, so it's nice to be able to finally get one that I don't have to go back and get a Toy Biz figure for, because I have no interest in doing that. He is, of course, a little bit higher on the price point side of things, but he's like, what, overwhelmingly, if not entirely, new parts. So I'm not too surprised about that, and frankly, there's the flip side. It's either you pay a little bit more and get this brand new figure all in one go, or you maybe have to buy a Build-A-Figure in a wave that you don't want all the figures for. So it's definitely a give and a take, so I'm happy to be just done with him in one fell swoop. He looks good. He does have a lot of size. I like these head sculpts. I love that goofy but very weird looking screaming head sculpt. He doesn't come with a lot of accessories, but what he comes with are definitely useful. It's always good to get hands. It's always good to get an extra head sculpt. And again, at the end of the day, this is a figure that has been missing for a lot of folks for a while. So that's going to do it for this look at the Marvel Legends Blob. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.